This evening, first, an abduction caught on camera. Police are on the hunt for Joshua David, also known as Brick, after he was taken by force in downtown Georgetown. We'll reveal how his disappearance might be linked to a deadly shooting and the 5 suspects now wanted by the authorities. Plus, a fatal accident in West Coast Berbice. A pedal cyclist dies after a tragic collision with a motorcar. What investigators are uncovering about this heartbreaking incident. Also, big upgrades are underway for thousands of households in Region 3. We'll take you inside the multi-million-dollar water treatment projects at Virgin Eugene and Perica, promising clear water for the community. And Amerindian Heritage Month 2024 wraps up tonight with a spectacular cultural pageant at the National Cultural Center. Join us as we celebrate Ghana's rich indigenous traditions and explore new initiatives supporting Amerindian communities. Finally, in the U.S., the death toll rises to 9 to 1 as Hurricane Helene leaves destruction in its wake. How long will it take for the region to recover? Stay tuned for these stories and more right here on Headline News Update. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for September 30th, 2024. I am Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, police detectives are actively pursuing leads to locate Joshua David, also known as Brick, who was reportedly abducted on September 26, 2024. Joshua was taken while he was on Main Street, Georgetown, with a friend near the new drive-in Chinese restaurant. CCTV footage captured the harrowing moment when 2 motorcycles and a car arrived at the scene, and Joshua was forcibly taken and driven north along Main Street before heading onto Lamha Street. The last confirmed sighting of the vehicle was along the east coast of Demerara. The Ghana Police Force is treating this abduction as potentially linked to a previous shooting incident on Durban Street in August, in which Joshua is believed to have been involved. The shooting resulted in the deaths of Anthony Hovercombe and Lawrence Wayne and left several others injured. In their efforts to locate Joshua, the police have issued wanted bulletins for 5 suspects: Aaron Allen, Alpha Poon, Wayne Barker, Dwayne Griffith, and Osafo Peters, all believed to be connected to the abduction. On Saturday, police conducted extensive searches in the Buxton Backlands, employing drones to aid in the efforts, but unfortunately found no significant evidence related to Joshua's whereabouts. The Ghana Police Force has noted that the search and investigation are ongoing, and they continue to follow up on any new leads that may arise in the case. In other news, police are investigating a fatal accident that occurred around 2 p.m. on Saturday at number 28 Public Road, West Coast Berbice, resulting in the death of 63-year-old pedal cyclist Stanford Benjamin from 28th Village, West Coast Berbice. The incident involved a motorcar PZZ 7256 driven by 65-year-old Malcolm Nurse of New Amsterdam Berbice, who was reportedly traveling in the same direction behind the cyclist. According to initial reports, while Nurse attempted to overtake the pedal cyclist, he allegedly swerved into the path of the car, causing a collision. As a result, Benjamin fell and sustained severe injuries and was rushed to the Fort Wellington Public Hospital, where he later died while receiving treatment. Investigations into the accident are ongoing. On a different note, the construction of water treatment plants at Virgin Eugene and Perica in Region 3 is set to benefit 11,000 households, significantly enhancing water quality and service in the area. The Virgin Eugene plant, valued at over $630 million, is expected to be completed by October and will serve approximately 24,000 residents from Zeeland to Virgin Eugene. During a site visit on Friday, Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell assured residents that an electrical issue affecting one of the existing wells would be resolved immediately. He announced that a new well costing $110 million would be activated within 2 weeks to improve water access. The Perica treatment plant, which is 80% complete following an $830 million investment, is on track for completion by December and will provide treated water to nearly 5,000 households. The Ghana Water Incorporated is also working to install a new pumping unit at the Tushan well to increase the water production in the area. Stick around when we return. Human Services Ministry reaffirms commitment to child protection, and Ghana celebrates the conclusion of Amerindian Heritage Month 2024.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Current smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Middle Street, Georgetown, telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security has reaffirmed its commitment to combating child abuse, responding to approximately 2,753 reports this year. The announcement was made by Levine Govaya, head of the Child Care and Protection Agency, during the ministry's annual Child Protection Awareness Rally at the University of Ghana's Tain campus in Berbice. Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Vindhya Prasad, lauded the courage of those who reported these cases and emphasized the need for increased vigilance to protect children from abuse. The ministry is actively working to support abuse survivors by offering resources such as schooling and counseling to help them regain a sense of stability. Minister Prasad said every citizen needs to be proactive and ensure every case is followed up until every child's safety is guaranteed, urging parents to adopt non-violent disciplinary methods and to communicate more openly with their children. To further aid in preventing child abuse, the ministry has introduced the parenting courses and published a manual to educate guardians on safe childcare practices. Teachers have also been encouraged to go beyond academics and promote the well-being of children. The ministry's message is clear. Child protection is a shared responsibility, and everyone must ensure that no child suffers in silence. You can call the ministry's 914 hotline for more information. In similar news, the Ministry of Human Services hosted a National Men's Forum to address men's challenges, promote well-being, and foster community support. Dale Travis has more details.
The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security hosted a National Men's Forum on Sunday aimed at addressing challenges faced by men and promoting their overall well-being. The event, organized by the ministry's Gender Affairs Bureau, was held at the Guyana's Women's Leadership Institute and provided a safe space for men to discuss national and personal issues while fostering a sense of togetherness. During the open discussion, Minister of Human Services and Social Security Dr. Vindhya Prasad acknowledged the difficulties men often face in expressing themselves and highlighting the government's ongoing initiatives to support male upliftment. Among these is the Engagement Program, which encourages men to engage in topics related to health, well-being, and community involvement. The ministry also announced the launch of new initiatives targeting men in informal settings like barbershops and sports facilities, with plans to train coaches, barbers, and bartenders to facilitate discussions on important topics. In preparation for International Men's Day, activities will focus on family bonding and teamwork, further encouraging men to participate in building supportive communities. The ministry is establishing a WhatsApp group and mailing list to inform participants about upcoming events and initiatives. Dr. Prasad encouraged men to set up their own support groups within their communities, promoting the concept of a brotherhood of safe spaces being developed by the Gender-Based Violence Unit. Reporting for Headline News Update, Dale Jarvis.
Thanks, Dale. Guyana will officially wrap up its calendar of events for Amerindian Heritage Month 2024 with the Amerindian Heritage Pageant at the National Cultural Center this evening, marking the end of a month-long tribute to the country's first people. This year's theme, Preserving Our Traditions, Embracing Our Future, emphasized the importance of protecting Amerindian culture while pushing for development and progress. Throughout the month, various events highlighted the rich cultural heritage of the indigenous people, including traditional music, dance, craft, exhibition, and culinary festivals showcasing indigenous cuisine. A key event during the month was the Amerindian Village at the Sapphire Exhibition Center in Georgetown, which saw participation from all 10 administrative regions. The village served as a hub for cultural exchange, allowing visitors to engage with indigenous artisans, listen to traditional stories, and learn about the history and daily life of the Amerindian people. In addition to cultural activities, the month featured discussions on critical issues facing indigenous communities, such as land rights, climate change, and sustainable development. The government announced several initiatives, including funding for ecotourism ventures and support for traditional farming practices aimed at ensuring the economic resilience of indigenous communities. Don't go away after the break. Venezuela's disputed presidential results, thousands protest to demand accountability, and global realignment. New alliances emerge in wake of Ukraine war.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Current smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton, and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Thousands of Venezuelans have held protests in the country and around the world over the disputed presidential election results. The opposition says the July vote was stolen by President Nicolás Maduro. Al Jazeera's Alexandria Rampieti reports from neighboring Colombia.
Venezuela's opposition presidential candidate Edmundo González appeared in front of a cheering crowd in Madrid on Saturday. It was his first public appearance since fleeing to Spain after the disputed elections he believes he won. He unfurled a Venezuelan flag but didn't say a word, unlike many of his supporters who continue to express outrage at an election they claim was fraudulent.
I say Maduro is not a president. He's illegally in the presidential palace. He's the invader of Miraflores because they are all criminals.
Rallies like the one in Madrid were also held inside Venezuela and in hundreds of cities across the world exactly 2 months after the elections. The opposition says they proved González won by publishing most of the vote tallies online, something President Maduro dismissed, unleashing a violent crackdown on dissent. Since then, opposition leaders like Maria Corina Machado have gone into hiding and the streets have been largely silent. Diplomatic attempts to pressure Maduro to accept a transition have failed. On Thursday at the United Nations, 30 countries and the European Union published a joint statement rejecting Maduro's claims, but stopped short of recognizing González as the legitimate president-elect.
Since the elections, the US government has imposed sanctions on more than 15 allies of President Maduro and is now considering imposing more individual sanctions and also the possibility of revoking the licenses of oil companies currently operating in Venezuela.
A small crowd also gathered in the Colombian capital Bogotá, home to the largest Venezuelan diaspora. Many held signs with pictures of political prisoners, but despite it all, they say they remain hopeful that a change will come.
We all have faith that the government will come to its senses and return us our country, and with it, the return of so many families which left. There are 8 million Venezuelans abroad, 2,000 political prisoners in Venezuela, and we all want to go back.
But despite these people's hope and all the international pressure, Maduro remains in no mood to bargain. Alessandro Ampietti, Al Jazeera, Bogotá.
The death toll from Hurricane Helene has risen to at least 91 in the southeast United States. Authorities say it may take months or even years to recover. Al Jazeera's Shahabi Ratansi reports.
This was the strongest storm ever to hit Florida's Big Bend region. It struck as a Category 4 hurricane on Thursday evening with winds of 225 kilometers an hour. Storm surge records that had only been broken a year ago themselves now surpassed.
The scenes we're seeing around the island. Entire houses are missing or flattened in on themselves.
The storm did weaken quickly as it moved inland. Nonetheless, as the weather system made its way north, it wrought havoc in Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, even as far north as Virginia. But it wasn't just the wind speeds and storm surge that made Helene so destructive. Widespread flooding was caused by the sheer volume of rain that fell.
This was a water storm. This really wasn't a wind storm. I've not seen nearly the wind damage that we've seen in other parts.
Rivers breached their banks, water surged over dams, houses were either flooded or swept away. Millions have been without power and communication in 6 states. It's thought that accounts for the large numbers who've been reported missing. They just can't contact their friends and family. Food, water and petrol is in short supply.
It all depends on these gas stations. You're not going to be able to go nowhere. And it's just a scary feeling.
Search and rescue teams are attempting to reach mountainous areas. Airdrops have been organized to help communities cut off.
Depending on where you are, this unprecedented storm dropped from 10 to 29 inches of rain across the mountains, causing life-threatening floods and landslides.
President Biden marveled at the scale of the damage as he returned to Washington on Sunday from his weekend home.
So it really is amazing. You saw the photographs. It's stunning.
Helene intensified rapidly due to what are being called record to near record ocean temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico. There have long been warnings of more frequent and intense U.S. hurricane seasons as a result of human-driven climate change. Nonetheless, this US election season, both presidential candidates have pledged to keep domestic oil drilling at record highs. So climate scientists expect this will be the new normal. Shia Britansi, Al Jazeera.
As the war in Ukraine continues, Russia's global partnerships are evolving. Despite Western sanctions, Moscow is finding support from a network of allies among its eastern neighbors. Al Jazeera's Axel Zamovic takes a look at how these relationships are reshaping the geopolitical landscape.
2.5 years after Russia invaded Ukraine, Western sanctions have largely failed to isolate Moscow. From Beijing to New Delhi, Tehran to Hanoi and Pyongyang, it's cultivated a web of strategic relationships aimed at countering Western influence. In June, Russian President Vladimir Putin paid a visit to Pyongyang and said, "We highly appreciate your consistent and unwavering support for Russian policy, including the Ukrainian strand. I'm referring to our fight against the hegemonic policy imposed for decades, the imperialist policy of the United States and its satellites against the Russian Federation." Russia's partnerships are helping it build resilience against sanctions imposed by the US, UK, and EU, targeting its economy and maintain its military operations in Ukraine. China and India have provided Moscow with a financial lifeline by increasing their imports of Russian oil. And Iran and North Korea are reportedly supplying weapons and military hardware, though both nations deny these accusations. But beyond arms and energy, analysts say the Russian president has a vision of multipolar world, and it's taking shape. At the heart of this is the BRICS group, an economic bloc of emerging economies that's expanding its influence. Originally including 5 countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, it has now expanded to include 5 more, including Iran and Saudi Arabia. This shift can be seen at the United Nations, where Russia's allies often abstain from votes critical of Moscow. While BRICS nations deny devising plans for a military alliance, some experts warn this possibility cannot be ruled out.
The US and Brussels both fear that if BRICS does become this bigger and more unified economic and trade bloc, then that's only one step away from it becoming a military bloc in the future. So for now, everything is focused on sanctions and economic threats as well as incentives.
But the West is not standing idle. The US and Europe are ramping up pressure on countries trading with Russia, including China, the UAE, and Turkey. An upcoming BRICS summit in Russia could mark a turning point. As a NATO member and EU candidate, Turkey's bid to join the bloc led by Russia and China marks a major shift in global alliances. Such a realignment could alter the dynamics at the United Nations. With backing from these strengthened relationships, Russia and its allies may find themselves with a more robust support base in international forums, and one that challenges the West's ability to isolate them. Axel Zaimovic, Al Jazeera.
This brings us to the end of the regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's it to V2 Headline News for this Monday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.